Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this regular meeting of council. It is March the 14th, 2023. I want to welcome everyone who's in chambers and who are joining us virtually this morning. It is 9 a.m. and I will now call this meeting to order. And I have a statement. The hardest thing I've had to do thus far in my term as warden is say farewell to Deputy Warden Duncan McPhail, who passed away on March the 11th, 2023. Words alone cannot express the grief we are all feeling at this time. Before we begin today's council meeting, I ask that you all join me as we pay tribute to our council colleague, Deputy Warden McPhail. Let's take this opportunity to honor, respect, and remember Duncan, a man who touched and enriched our lives in so many different ways. Duncan's political career included 17 years on county council, serving as mayor of West Elgin. He was county warden in 2000, 2001, and 2019, and deputy warden in 2020 and 2022 until his passing. Duncan was a remarkable man whose kindness and generosity spilled over to every aspect of his life. I can say that the outpouring of respect and admiration for him has been absolutely inspiring and heartwarming. Duncan was a really special person in our community. For Duncan, Elgin County wasn't just a place. It was a state of mind, an attitude, something he brought with him to his work as mayor, county councilor, deputy warden, and warden. He had our respect because his huge personality was matched with his integrity, intelligence, and passion for public service. Over the years, many people turned to Duncan for advice, myself included. Duncan paved the way for new councillors, serving as a role model and a voice of reason. Duncan made our team at Elgin County better. He fiercely supported our staff and made sure everyone's voice was heard around the council table. He was known for being a thoughtful, skilled politician and leader. His work not only impacted West Elgin and Elgin County, but our entire region. He was dedicated, passionate, and at times outspoken. When he wasn't around the council horseshoe, he was connecting directly with staff, showing a genuine interest in our teams across the county. There was nothing in this world more important to Duncan than his wife, Norma, and their family. Our thoughts are with Norma, Duncan's biggest fan, supporter, and co-pilot. Norma was as much a part of our council contingent as Duncan was. Our thoughts are with their entire family and friends at this difficult time. One thing is for certain, Duncan would have been so humbled by all of the love of his friends, family, and colleagues. Our community has rallied to celebrate him just as he so often celebrated them. Duncan would want us to shift our thoughts from grief to remembering the fun times we had with him and the times he often reminisced about. We could spend an entire day retelling stories of Duncan's impact, his accomplishments, and his incredible sense of humor. Today, we have the privilege and honor of celebrating and paying our respects to a person each of us had the privilege of working alongside. Duncan, you are a force to be reckoned with, and you will be long and fondly remembered. Please join me for a moment of silence as we commemorate our missing friend and colleague. Now, before we proceed with the normal business of the hour, I think we will take a brief pause and give your warden a chance to collect himself. And I believe staff have prepared a slide deck or a photo album that will play. So let's take 10 minutes, recharge your coffee cups, dry your eyes, and we'll get down to business.
Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. I can go there. Take me home to the place. Take me home, country road. All my memories gather round her. Modern slave, stranger to the water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty days, tears dropping my eyes. Take me home to the place. Take me home, country road. I hear her voice in the morning hour. She calls me, great mountains, take me home.
All right, thank you for that indulgence. Moving on with the agenda, we have the adoption of the minutes. Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the meeting held on February 28th, 2023 be adopted.
Mover and seconder, please. Will move. Counselor Sloan will second. All in favor? That is carried. I would remind council members of any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. I see none noted. Section 4, presenting petitions, presentations, and delegations. This morning, we are joined by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC, Regional Manager and Account Manager for Property Assessment and Ontario presentation. Good morning, Brenda. Should have extended greetings to you too, Ann.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here this morning. My name is Brenda Slater, and I'm your account manager with Municipal and Stakeholder Relations. And I'm pleased that my regional manager is able to join me this morning, Ann Haynes. So I will be taking you through the slides, and then I will turn things over to Ann to share a few updates as well. So the next slide speaks to, at MPAC, we are Ontario's property experts. Our job is to assess and classify more than 5.5 million properties across Ontario. In the past year, Ontario has grown by approximately 45,000 new residential homes. And in 2022, we added more than $37 billion to Ontario's assessment rolls. Every municipality uses our assessments to make informed decisions about their community, including the distribution of property taxes. Ontario's property tax system and these assessments generate approximately $30 billion in tax revenue annually. And the next slide speaks to the 4 key players in Ontario's property assessment and taxation system. And each has a different role to play, and each has a unique interest in the process. The provincial government, specifically the Minister of Finance, is responsible for setting assessment and taxation legislation, as well as policies. They also determine the education property tax rate. As well, there is an independent body that adjudicates appeals of property assessments, and that is the Assessment Review Board, or the ARB. And this also falls under the jurisdiction of the province. MPAC is an independent, not-for-profit corporation funded by all Ontario municipalities. As I mentioned, our role is to assess and classify all properties in Ontario in compliance with the Assessment Act and the other regulations set by the province of Ontario. We are accountable to the province, to the municipalities, and to property owners through our board of directors that is comprised of 13 members, provincial, municipal, and taxpayer representatives, and they are also appointed by the Minister of Finance. Municipalities determine their budget requirements, set tax rates, and collect property taxes to determine or to pay for municipal services. Municipalities use MPAC's assessments and the established tax rates to distribute the tax requirement to ratepayers. And finally, property owners pay the property tax bill, and they also set market value through ongoing property purchases and ongoing property sales. The next slide speaks to maintaining Ontario's property tax database, and that is very important. Property data is continuously updated. I'm not certain if it's the previous slide. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Property data is continuously updated so that municipal records are accurate when our municipal stakeholders are making important tax decisions. We continue to maintain our Ontario's property database by updating new assessment, new construction, additions, and renovations promptly. We respond to property owner inquiries and working with property owners to help them understand their property assessment. We support our municipalities. We offer Municipal Connect, where our municipal stakeholders can obtain the primary source of assessment-related information. We work collaboratively on projects that are important to municipalities, such as e-building permits, receiving them electronically, and as well the electronic receipt of building permit plans. Finally, we have statutory duties, such as handling requests for reconsiderations when property owners ask for a review of their assessment. On the next slide, it speaks to the reassessment that was scheduled to occur in 2020, and it was postponed by the province to provide stability and certainty to Ontarians and to enable municipalities to focus on responding to the challenges posed by the pandemic. As a result, property assessments continue to be based on a legislated valuation date of January 1, 2016. MPAC continues to maintain and update the assessment roll to reflect changes such as new construction and improvements to properties. For new buildings or new structures, MPAC determines a value as of January 1, 2016 to ensure equity when comparing to existing properties. While MPAC awaits the news from the provincial government about the next province-wide assessment update, January 1, 2016 continues to be Ontario's legislated valuation date, which is the fixed date to which all properties are valued. Although the assessment update remains paused, our work continues to keep property data up to date. Property owners will receive an updated property assessment notice from MPAC when there has been a change or an update to their property. In November, MPAC sent out just over 800,000 property assessment notices to Ontarians across the province. Just over 3,800 property assessment notices were mailed to property owners across Elgin County. Once the province announces when the next assessment update will take place and what the valuation date will be, we will let you know. And as well, we can then work to have more meaningful conversations as we'll work to continue finalizing the assessment values in Elgin County. And the next slide, I just wanted to take a moment to speak about the relationship between property taxes and property assessment. And assessments are distribute taxes. They do not determine the amount of taxes paid. The most important factor, or one of the key factors, is not how much the assessment of a property has changed, but rather how the assessed value has changed relative to the average change of other properties in that class within their community. And this concept is explained in a recent MPAC toolkit that was shared with all municipalities. And the next slide, in anticipation of the next province-wide reassessment, we've implemented a strategy to address the relationship between assessed value and taxation. And as I mentioned, a number of resources for municipalities that will ensure once the announcement is made, we are ready with the support that you'll require. The digital toolkit is available on mpac.ca. It's available to help municipalities, including yourselves as elected officials, and as well provide support and information for property owners. In this digital toolkit as well, you can find our new video, how property taxes are calculated based on the assessed value of your home. So thanks for having me here today. On the next slide, we want to remind everyone to stay connected. Please ensure that if you have not already, you're able to subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter, In Touch. And that can be done through mpac.ca and also on our website. That is where you'll find that library of digital resources. And as well, at any time, you are welcome to reach out to myself as your account manager, and my contact information is on the last slide. And then I'm going to pass things over to Ann Haynes as my regional manager to share some updates as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Brendan. Good to be here today. I think I met a few of you virtually in 2021, if I recall, but it's very nice to be here in person today and drive through the communities. It's a lovely area. Thanks for having us again. I did attend Roma, so I don't know if anyone was at Roma. We did have a booth there, and I think the number one question from everyone that visited the booth is, when is the next assessment update? I think Brenda did a great job of explaining that we are awaiting an announcement from the province, but lots of work has been going on in the meantime. And I just looked quickly at the growth in Elgin County, and over 144 million, which is fantastic. So there's some really fast moving areas and lots of growth that we're continuing to capture on your assessment rolls and keep up to date with respect to Brenda's update on keeping our database current. So thanks for that. We did also send out some partnership reports earlier this year. I don't know if it came across your council's desk, but if you have any questions on that or again would like an update, we're happy to meet with you. Brenda's been doing a great job in Elgin for years, and she loves the area, used to live in the area as well. So she's given me a great tour of this area, and happy again to meet you guys. If there are any one-off meetings that you want to get into a deeper dive on an assessment 101, how we do property value, if you're new, we're happy to sit down and have a coffee chat or sit down with you and staff. So if that is something else other than the high level update that we gave today, we're happy to accommodate that. And that's really all I have. I just wanted to say hello and thanks for having us again. And I'll hand it back to you if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ann and Brenda. Thank you very much for that presentation. I'm going to turn it over to council. Does anyone have any questions for our presenters this morning? Well, I do. And you mentioned that the growth in Elgin, and I assume it was for the 2022 or is it 2021?
2023, yeah, for this year,
2022.
2022.
Yeah, so 144 million. Now, is that based on current value or 2016?
That's the 2016 value. So
Right.
again, it's a provincial legislated date. So
Yes.
whenever someone builds a new house, it's key to remember that it's apples and apples, oranges and oranges. Everybody has to be valued at the same date. So we still backdate
Yeah.
it, even though it was built today, what it would have been worth in Jan 1, 2016.
Absolutely. So it's definitely different than construction value, which is the point I was trying to get at. I have one more question. My understanding is that there's considerable lead time to prepare the roll that is required. And that often is communicated up to 12 months in advance. So given that we're in the middle of March, I'm assuming that we're not going to see a new roll return for 2024.
Again, we are waiting an
Mhm.
announcement. I can tell you that we are at the ready. We have been preparing for this since 2020 when we hope to roll it out. And we are continually churning the analysis and database of sales as they take place. So, move a year in, add a year out, et cetera. So we are at the ready.
Mhm.
The data is there. We are picking up the new construction. So when they do give us the green light, we will be able to proceed, but we really have no idea at this point when that would
Yeah.
be hard to guess at this point.
Thank you for that. Anything else? Seeing none. Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that the presentation from Brenda Slater, Account Manager, and Ann Haynes, Regional Manager of Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC, be received and filed.
Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Noble will move, Councillor Widner will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to Committee of the Whole.
Be it resolved that we do now move into Committee of the Whole.
Mover and seconder, please. Okay, Councillor Hentz will move, Councillor Jiguer will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Section 6, reports of council, outside boards and staff. 6.1, the Warden's Activity Report for February 2023. I'll speak to this briefly. The report is attached. If there are any questions on any of the activities that I've participated in, I'm happy to entertain them. Otherwise, it's giddy up go time and seems to be getting busier. So. Everyone seems to be satisfied. Good.
Be it resolved that the report titled Warden's Activity Report, February 2023, dated March 2nd, 2023, from Warden Ketchabah be received and filed.
Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Okay, Councillor Crockett will move and Councillor Noble will second. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. 6.2, Manager Procurement and Risk, Procurement Activity Report, fourth quarter. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you to County Council. So this procurement activity report just details the award of contracts that were approved by directors. They're valued between $15,000 and $250,000. This report covers the period from October to December of last year. The list of the projects, the supplier, are attached to this report as Appendix A. I can confirm that all contracts do comply with the county's procurement policy. And at this time, I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you for the report, Mike. Does anyone have any questions for our purchasing coordinator? Seeing none?
Be it resolved that the report titled Procurement Activity Report Q4, October 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022, dated March 3rd, 2023, from the Manager of Procurement and Risk be received and filed for information.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Hentz will move and Councillor Noble will second. All in favor? That's carried. 6.3, Manager of Library Services, Path Forward on Library Fines, Phase 1 Progress Report. Morning, Natalie.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Warden, and through you to council members. My name is Natalie Marlowe, and I'm the manager of library services. So the presentation before you outlines the library's progress in the first phase of our fine free strategy. As a quick overview, we've measured our fine free phase one progress and impact in 3 areas where overdue fines are a possible contributing factor. This would be through patron access and membership, the use of library materials, and overdue fines paid, as well as donation boxes. And then we'll provide some key considerations and propose next steps to move to phase 2. Next slide, thank you. So to summarize phase 1, beginning June 1st, overdue fines were eliminated on all children's materials and overdue fines were reduced on adult DVDs. Some objectives were to remove barriers and increase access to library materials and services. Okay, so these next 2 slides look at patron access and membership. This first slide demonstrates that access to library materials and services has increased and more patrons now have access. Approximately 463 patrons regained access during phase 1. Also, you can see that the percentage of patrons with no overdue fines has increased slightly over 2021. So this next slide shows that not only did our membership increase significantly during phase 1, but also that the number of children's or juvenile cards created in 2022 was the highest that it's been in the past 5 years. So 626 in 2022, over 570 in 2018. Now, I will add that there are other contributing factors here, such as pandemic recovery, as well as eliminating overdue fines, and also our marketing campaign, as we've targeted increasing the number of cardholders that we have. So this jump in cardholders, this increase may be a one-time increase based on these contributing factors, so something to keep in mind. Okay, and the next slide looks at the use of children's library materials, which was a targeted collection in phase 1. This graph shows that although both the number of checkouts and the number of overdue items have increased over May, which was before phase 1, both have decreased since October, which was mid phase 1. So the checkouts by about 8.1% and overdue items by about 18.4%. This line shows that in 2022, the overdue revenue, the fine paid revenue, increased slightly in 2021, or pardon me, in phase 1 over 2021, so by about $207.71. This photo here is a photo of the donation box at our Dutton branch. That is part of the campaign at all 10 library branches to increase donations in lieu of overdue fines. The revenue in phase 1 in 2022 was $1,188.50. Okay, so these key considerations are to continue to encourage the return of library materials, as well as encouraging responsible library use. So these are our proposed next steps, and to move to phase 2, effective April 1st, as subject to your approval. And then lastly, the recommendations are before you. This concludes the presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Natalie. Does anyone have any questions for staff on this? Yes, Councilor Sloan.
Hi there. Thank you, Natalie. If someone wanted to make a donation to the library, you know, a benefactor, something like that, do we have a charitable status?
Yes, so we do have a Canada Helps link on our website, and as well, you could go into any of the branches or to the office here as well.
So it's a
Yes.
registered charity if someone wants to make a donation?
Yes.
Okay. And I realize libraries are going fine-free. I hope that includes the Port Stanley Library, and I wondered what the statute of limitations was, but if a book is lost, is replacement different than late fee? I think there's a differentiator there.
Yes, yes, Mr. Warden, answering the question. So the fines that we talk about here are just the overdue fines. So when an item is late, which doesn't include those that are replacement costs. So those are still in place. So if an item is lost, then the patron would be required to pay that replacement cost.
Through you, Warden. Thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Jiguer.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a comment. I mean, these are encouraging numbers. I think that those were the numbers we were hoping for.
Thank you.
I just wanted to be cautious that we don't, without actual evidence, that we don't isolate the, fine-free and the increases that we see. I think, as you mentioned, there are many contributing factors, and I don't think we've been in a position to collect data that would show the direct correlation between the fines and increases. But I'm hoping it is contributing, and because that's what we want to see, but something to watch for perhaps.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Counselor Noble.
Through you, Mr. Warden, would the decrease in the fines, will that increase the likelihood of somebody losing a book? Just because if they don't have to worry about bringing it back within a timely manner, I'm just wondering if that'll increase the level of lost books.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden, to answer the question. That's definitely one of our considerations and something to think about. In our list of key considerations, we still have a number of strategies in place to try and, make sure items are returned. So we still provide notices in print and via email as well when items are coming due. We still provide, we have loan periods still, items still have due dates. So we're really trying to make sure that items come back.
It's all quiet around the horseshoe.
Okay.
Okay. Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that Elgin County Council hereby authorizes Elgin County Library to proceed with Phase 2 on a path forward for the elimination of Elgin County Library overdue fines as outlined in the fine-free approach received by County Council on September 28, 2021, and that all overdue fines be eliminated effective December 31st, 2024, subject to a progress report and impact analysis for council's consideration in 2024, and that the presentation titled A Path Forward on Library Fines, Phase 1 Progress Report dated March 14th, 2023 from the Manager of Library Services be received and filed for information.
A mover and seconder, please. Counselor Crooked will move. Counselor Jiguer will second. All in favor? That is carried. And thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
6.4, Manager of Administrative Services, Deputy Clerk, the 2023 Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee appointments.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to members of council. The purpose of this report is to appoint members to serve on the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee for the 2023 to 2026 term. In January 2023, correspondence was sent to Elgin's 7 local municipal partners requesting an appointed member, either an elected official or member of the public, to sit on the committee for the 2023 to 2026 term. In response to the request, staff received resolutions from the Municipality of Bayham, Township of Malahide, Municipality of Dutton Dunwich, and Town of Elmer, appointing elected officials to the committee. However, I will mention, since the publishing of this report, the appointee from the Municipality of Bayham has requested that his appointment be withdrawn. And additionally, staff have received 1 application from a community member, Wendy Carmichael, who has expressed interest in joining, and also past members Jim Jenkins as a community representative and Kay Haynes as the Terrace Lodge Auxiliary Representative have both indicated that they wish to continue on the committee. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jenna, for that report. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Counselor Jiguer.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a comment to thank my colleagues for the various appointments from municipalities. That's very helpful. Just want to remind all of us, it's a county-wide initiative, and the committee can truly use all the help we can get. So the deadline, this is an open invitation. So if you have not had an appointee yet or an application from the community, I encourage everybody to promote this opportunity once again. And but for now, we'll be happy to begin with the group that we have today with the support of council.
Thank you for that. I'm wondering, Councillor Jiguer, from a process point of view, is there a desire for, as the committee chair, to resolicit the municipality of Bayham?
Certainly, I wouldn't be opposed. I might even resend the invitation to all municipalities where there's still a vacancy.
All right.
Mr. Ward.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd like to say that Southwold is still looking. We haven't given up. We're trying to find somebody.
Thank you for that, and good luck on the hunt. Okay, Jenna.
Be it resolved that the report titled 2023 Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee Appointments dated March 2nd, 2023 from the Manager of Administrative Services Deputy Clerk be received and filed, and that Elgin County Council appoint the following members to the Terrace Lodge Redevelopment Fundraising Committee for the 2023 to 2026 term. Sarah Leach, Councillor, Township of Malahide; Amaryllis Drouillard, Councillor, Municipality of Dutton Dunwich; Jamie Chapman, Councillor, Town of Elmer; Wendy Carmichael, Community Member; Jim Jenkins, Community Member; and Kay Haynes, Terrace Lodge Auxiliary Representative.
All right, hearing that motion, do I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Hens will move, and I think Councillor Sloan will second. All in favor? And that is carried. 6.5, General Manager of Engineering, Planning and Enterprise, Deputy CAO, regarding recycled asphalt stockpile, White Station. Morning, Brian.
Morning, Mr. Warden, through you to council. Before you is a staff report and more specifically, an access and use agreement appended to this report for which we are seeking council's endorsement and authorization to have assigned necessary in order for the county to stockpile milled recycled asphalt from an upcoming paving project on Sunset Drive from the city of St. Thomas limits down through to the village of Port Stanley. At the present time, White Station is a county-owned facility and is leased to our member municipality, the municipality of Central Elgin. And so the agreement before you just simply details through conversation agreement with municipality staff, the identified location for which the stockpile will be located and other minor requirements in that regard. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that report, Brian. Does anyone have any questions for staff on this? Okay, then.
Be it resolved that the report titled Recycled Asphalt Stockpile White Station dated March 6th, 2023 from the General Manager of Engineering, Planning and Enterprise, Deputy CAO, be received and filed, and that the Warden and Chief Administrative Officer be directed and authorized to sign the access and use agreement between the County of Elgin and the Municipality of Central Elgin to access and utilize a portion of land at 42343 Fruit Ridge Line for the purposes of stockpiling recycled asphalt for future use.
Thank you for that. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Noble will move. Councillor Sloan will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 6.6 from the General Manager of Engineering, Planning, Enterprise, and Deputy CAO, cold in-place asphalt recycling, tender number 2023 T01, and hot mix asphalt paving tender number 2023 T02, the tender awards. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to council. This is a combined staff report detailing recommended contract awards for both recent tenders that closed as referenced by the warden. Included in the staff report are a detail of 4 county roads as it relates to cold in place recycling that will be taking place this year, and 9 specific county road sections, along with a parking lot at a corporate facility that will be paved as well. So with that, the recommendations are before you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that report, Brian. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, then Jenna?
Be it resolved that Roto Mill Incorporated be selected to complete cold in-place asphalt recycling on various roads, tender number 2023-T01, at a total price of $2,482,881.26, inclusive of a $100,000 contingency allowance and exclusive of HST, and that Brantco Construction be selected to complete hot mix asphalt paving on various roads, tender number 2023-T02, at a total price of $8,285,375.80, inclusive of a $250,000 contingency allowance and exclusive of HST, and that the recommended contract awards be subject to approval of the 2023 capital budget, and that the warden and chief administrative officer be directed and authorized to sign the contracts.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Woodner will move. Counselor Hentz will second. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. 6.7, General Manager of Engineering Planning Enterprise, Deputy CAO follow-up, local municipal partner request for review bylaw EC1, parking bylaw. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to council. Correspondence, as council is familiar with, was recently received from one of our member municipalities suggesting that the county's parking bylaw has not seen a comprehensive review and update for many years. Council thereafter directed staff to follow up on the matter and report back to council. So the staff report, in general terms, notes that the county's bylaw did undertake a review in 2020, whereby a consolidated review and an increase in fines had taken place at that time. What we suspect is that the bylaw itself may not have been circulated to all of our member municipalities. And so with council's consent, we plan to do that and follow up with each member municipality to see whether or not further review is required. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that, Brian. Does anyone have any questions?
Through
Yes,
you, Mr.
Councilor
Warden,
Sloan.
they seem kind of low, but I mean, this is how often is it usually updated?
Through you, Mr. Warden, to Councillor Sloan. It's not a frequent review, but staff in preparing the staff report did solicit and various rates of various municipalities. And I can say at this point in time, we are right on par with what other municipalities are currently charging for parking infractions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Julie?
Just a comment through you to Councillor Sloan, if it's helpful and with council direction, we'd be pleased to provide the results of that summary along with our findings once we reach out to the local municipal partners, just to kind of close the loop on this.
Mr. Warden?
Counselor Jones?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd have to agree with Councillor Sloan. When we don't have a hired person for this parking enforcement. So when we have somebody roll out that we've have contracted with, it costs us more to have that person go out and do enforcement than what the fine is. That's the problem that we're seeing.
Thank you, Counselor Jones. He's on holidays, so
Yeah.
we're a little informal. Any other comments or questions? Counselor Cookett.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just a comment. I'm looking at one of the items in the parking is that there's a fine, I think, of $35 for parking 0.15 meters from the curb. I think if they look at parking in the town of Elmer, and if we increase that fine to $200, we could reduce taxes by a whole amount, by a lot. Just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Yes, you may have a quick comment.
Thanks, Mr. Warden. Through you to members of council, I think another important metric that we'll bring back to council or bit of data is the volume of tickets issued in the past. So you can have some sense of how many tickets are issued on county roads. So we'll endeavor to do that at a future meeting.
Thank you for those comments. Is there anything further? Jenna?
Be it resolved that the report titled Follow-up Local Municipal Partner Request to Review Bylaw EC-1 Parking Bylaw dated March 8th, 2023 from the General Manager of Engineering, Planning and Enterprise, Deputy CAO be received and filed, and that staff be directed to send a copy of Bylaw 20-05 and set fine orders for Part 1 and Part 2 offenses under Bylaw 20-05 to Elgin County's local municipal partners and inquire as to whether a review is still required.
Thank you. Mover and seconder for that. Counselor Noble will move. Counselor Sloan will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now I have to ask, I assume the budget presentation may be a little long. Possibly. Is it council's desire? It's a little early, but do you wish to take a quick break? Recharge your coffee cup before we get into this? Then let us do that. We'll take a 10-minute break. Okay, welcome back. We left off at section 6.8, Director of Financial Services, the Treasurer regarding the 2023 budget. Jen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you to council. Before I use the presentation for the 2023 budget, we're just doing some tidy up finalization for the bylaws, the bylaw that's required, which will be presented at the next meeting. So the agenda for this is a budget recap, review of option 1B, next steps, a presentation of the draft 2023 rates, a ratios overview, a draft of the 2023 ratios, the farm forestry exemption, we'll just talk a little bit about that, and then staff recommendations. So the recommendation at the last council meeting was that council reviewed several additional options related to the 2023 budget. Options included adding back one or more capital projects into 2023, the required use of reserve and or project savings in order to support that decision, an impact to the rate per 100,000 of assessment on the residential tax class. The recommendation was for option 1B, maintain project deferrals, which as an overview required no dependence on the capital reserve fund, the utilization of some of the project savings, approximately 321,000, and the allocation of the remaining balance of 245,000 back to the capital reserve fund for future use. For this option, the tax rate would be 3.76%, and the residential tax rate implication would be $23.88 per $100,000 of assessment. Council approved option 1B as preferred option because it supported some of the interests that council had in exploring ways to be responsible and plan for the future. while ensuring affordability for ratepayers. Option 1B meets these needs for the following reasons. It avoids dependence on the capital reserve fund. A portion of project savings is allocated back for future use, resulting in a tax rate below inflation. Substantially maintains council's approved asset management plan from 2022. And the final draft to this presentation is attached to this presentation, which incorporates option 1B throughout the proposed budget so that there is a fulsome review of that for publication to the public. So the next steps are that council must pass a bylaw for rates and ratios, incorporating council's decision at the next council meeting, which is March 28th. Just some of the other decisions that we need for this bylaw are the farm rate, which would be maintained at 23% or other decision, and a grant for landfill, which affects West Elgin and Dutton Dunwich for 2023. This is the list of the draft rates that we would be publicizing in our proposed budget document or in our final budget document. And the ratios overview. For most ratios are currently set at the top of their range of fairness, and this is prescribed by the Minister of Finance for each of the classes. Proposed ratios for 2023 are provided on the next slide. The landfill rates are prescribed usually by the end of April, and an amended bylaw is then brought forth if necessary. And council does have the ability to adjust the farm tax ratio. So there is the draft ratios and then a focus on the farm tax class. So the farm tax ratios were set at 23% in 2019 and have remained unchanged since that time. Correspondence has been received from the Elgin Federation of Agriculture to support maintaining the rate at 23% for the 2023 tax year. The highest ratio for the farm tax class can be 25% of the residential ratio, which is 1. An increase to the farm tax ratio would shift burden, causing a tax rate increase onto the farm tax class, which would then lower the rates for other tax classes. The landfill. Since 2017, the landfill ratios for the County of Elgin have been set each year pursuant to the Municipal Act, OReg 85/98, section 10.25. And I have attached for your information the report to council that outlined that change. At that time, the municipalities of West Elgin and Dutton Dunwich were also bound by this new ratio on their previously exempt landfill properties. So by way of bylaw, County Council has annually approved to grant back the municipalities of West Elgin and Dutton Dunwich the amount owing on their landfills in order to maintain their previously exempt position. For the reason for this is we cannot exempt them from that tax class. We can only grant back what they pay. The amounts that would be granted back in 2023, based on the current rate, is $207,244 for municipality of Dutton Dunwich and $40,502 for municipality of West Elgin. Farm forestry. The farm forestry exemption has been increased from 20 acres up to 30 acres. And this legislation change came into effect January 1, 2023 in the Assessment Act. Eligible properties will be identified by MPAC, and a special assessment notice will be sent to property owners later in March. The MPAC notice has been attached to the council report for your information. And assessments will be revised within the 2023 tax year. Anticipated at a high level, the county is expected to see a decrease of approximately $10,000. So it's not significant, but it will help some of the farm properties. So we did include additionally, as previously mentioned, the budget document for 2023. Some of the changes that we made just at a high level are the warden's welcome. We added that. We updated the timeline on page 5. The tax rate increase has been amended to 3.76. Discussion about the use of savings on page 7 and increases as per 100,000 of assessment on page 8. The levy raised by tax class was changed on page 9. Levy revenue and chart was adjusted on page 10. And the corporate activities details that were included in the appendix are now adjusted to include the additional levy that was increased by the 3.7%. The budget document, when published, will also include the rates and ratios, and we put a draft in there of the draft ratios that we presented today as Appendix 1 of the budget document as Schedule A and B. The net operating and capital budgets will also be included in Appendix 2 of the budget document in a summarized form. And then the final departmental details, which were Appendix 1, are now Appendix 3 of the budget document. And before you are the staff recommendations, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jen, for the presentation. Counselor Sloan.
Through you, Warden, what's the savings to take the farm tax ratio from 23 to 25%, please?
Savings,
Yeah.
we would have
Extra revenue, rather.
there would be no extra revenue. It would just shift the revenue burden onto the farm tax class. So their ratio or their rate would go up to about 11.6%, while other rates would go down to 2.7, somewhere in that neighborhood, 2.7%.
So, and can you tell me, like Oxford County or Chatham County are on each other side, what their rates are for the farm ratio, please?
I believe Chatham Kent is the only one that's at 22%, while all others maintain at 25%. Oxford is different.
Not 100% sure about Oxford, but at the time in 2019, there were approximately 17 upper tier or single tier jurisdictions that had amended the tax rate down from the 0.25.
I can review that.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Additional questions?
Just quickly,
Counselor Sloan?
sorry, on the budgeting process, just help me understand if you don't mind. When the piece comes out about respect to the grants for focus on landfill tax class, why is that separate than the original piece that we started about? I'm just curious about how that information comes forward. Through you, Warden.
No.
Through you, Mr. Warden, Councillor Sloan. That is, so initially we do not include that in as part of our calculations, because in the past it has been granted to these two municipalities. It is part of an exemption that we're giving them, or we can't give them an exemption, sorry, that's the wrong word. We're giving them a grant back for their tax that they would pay on that landfill. And the reason was because back in 2017, there was a sale from a private entity to the city of Toronto for the Southwold dump. And as a result, there was a loss of revenue. And so there was some arbitration, and the law came out that we were to, that the city was to pay us some assessment on that land. So as a result, because it was a municipal entity, Dutton and West Elgin also had a landfill, and they were then brought into that as a result. So previously they were exempt, and it's because municipalities were exempt from paying on landfill.
Thank you. May I follow up, Mr.
Yep.
Warden? Through you, Mr. Warden, is that, so this is an annual cost, so the 207 and the 40, is that in perpetuity?
It's something that we have granted, yes, it's in perpetuity.
Thank you.
Additional questions on the budget? Yes, Councilor Whitner.
Yes, thank you, Warden. I fully support the 23% tax rate. Farmland prices are going through the roof still to this day. I am amazed though, how many maybe smaller farms are still paying residential rates on their whole property. They don't know it's been switched or they didn't get the renter to do it or whatever, but I've ran into about 3 lately. It's too bad. And it's been for years and years and years. So I don't know how that can be resolved, but I guess it's up to the individual who owns the farm to know that, but not everybody has that capability. So I would still support the 23% and hopefully we can keep it there.
Thank you for your comments. Those farm parcels that are at the full residential rate, the easiest answer is they've failed to register with the farm business registration program, so they don't qualify for the farm tax rate. So if they happen to wish to reach out to whether it be their farm organization or to Agricor, who is administering the program, then they can find a way through it. Are there any other questions regarding the budget? You're getting off easy. Jenna, please.
Be it resolved that council maintain the farm tax ratio at 23% for the 2023 tax year. And that council directs staff to maintain the grants for the municipalities of West Elgin and Dutton Dunwich equal to the taxes owing for the landfill portions only owing to the county of Elgin. And that council directs staff to prepare the necessary budget bylaw for approval at the March 28th, 2023 meeting of council.
Thank you for that. Do I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Whitner will move. Councillor Hentz will second. All in favor? Is there any opposed? Well, I'm going to declare it carried. Moving on with section 7, council correspondence. 7.1 items for consideration. 7.11 letter to consider Vienna Lions Community Center for property tax relief from Chief Dave Conlon, Vienna Lions. Is anyone from staff willing to speak to this, or I can give a brief summary if you will? Sure, the warden will speak to it. All right, absolutely. The short story is that correspondence was received both at the county and the municipality of Bayham. Municipal staff at Bayham are currently researching the request and researching the eligibility criteria of whether the organization can in fact qualify. And once that information comes back from Bayham staff, I assume it will be communicated to the county. And at that time, you'd be in a better position to make the decision on this. So my recommendation is to defer this for now.
Mr. Warden?
Yes, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just a word of caution. There's a lot of service clubs in Elgin County that have that only own property. This could be very significant if that was to happen, I would think.
Grant, I think I got most of that, and then unfortunately the transmission's a little garbled, but I think what you're suggesting is that there are a number of service clubs across Elgin County that if this were set, or I guess you could say approved, it would set a pretty good precedent moving forward.
Right.
I agree with you. All I can suggest to you at this time that there are certain parameters and requirements for this particular exemption to take place. Whether it can be demonstrated that it's purely for charitable purposes or whether a portion of a building is strictly for charitable purposes. For example, if it's a museum is completely charitable. They have, if they're registered, they have the Canada Revenue Agency, number in place. Donations are registered and can, get a tax receipt for. Church properties, for example, are exempt from taxes anyway. How about a church campground? That might be one that's possibly, there's an annual application process to go through in order to achieve a refund of the taxes paid. And that's how it works. And I believe that across Elgin County, and Jen, you can correct me on this, there are maybe 5 properties that qualify.
I don't know. Excuse me, Mr. Warden. I don't know the history, but I know that there are a few in West Elgin that have applied and gotten exemption.
That's my understanding as well. So as I say, BAM staff are researching this. They would be bringing a report forward for BAM council in the near future. And I would hope that that report would then be communicated to the county and give the council a better position in which to base a decision. So my recommendation still stands. Councillor Sloan.
Quick question, Warden. Why wouldn't it be to BAM as opposed to the county? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, they,
Excuse me, if just clarification, please.
the property in question is in BAM, Savannah Community Center. And though we don't have a particular bylaw at BAM to do this, the county does. So it's a partnership. Jen, have you got a motion for us, please?
Be it resolved that the correspondence from Chief Dave Conlon of Vienna Lions be deferred until more information is received from the municipality of Bayham.
Okay, would I have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Noble? Councillor Jiguer, thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 7.2 items for information, the consent agenda. We have 5 pieces, which includes the letter to the Warden Ketchbaugh from Minister Clark regarding Bill 63 and its royal assent. An OFA letter to Elgin County regarding battery energy storage system proposals. Letter from the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks regarding municipal class environmental assessment amendments. Letter from the Thames Valley District School Board, Director of Education and Secretary regarding the interim accommodation measure that has been enacted at the South Dorchester Public School. And a resolution from Municipality of Dutton Dunwich regarding the provincial policy statement review. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding any of this correspondence? Does anyone have any recommendation they want to take action on?
Be it resolved that correspondence items 7.2.1 to 7.2.5 be received and filed.
Mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Hens. Councillor Jiguer. Thought we were going to lose the correspondence there for a minute. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And I'm sorry, Councillor Jones, like if you want to move or second something, speak up because often I'm looking around the horseshoe and I miss you on the way by. Brings us to section 8, other business, statements, inquiries by members. Okay, I would like to make another statement. I simply want to thank staff, Julie, through you, and communicate this down through your department heads and all staff. Thank you for preparing the room and the memorial this morning. And it's been a bit of a traumatic weekend and a rush job. We certainly appreciate the effort that staff have done here. It's been recognized. So thank you for that. Notice of motion. Matters of urgency. Which brings us to 8.3.1. And I'm going to defer to you, Julie, on that one.
Thanks, Mr. Warden. Through you to members of council. You'll recall that Councillor McPhail mentioned the municipality of West Elgin's interest in seeking a delegation at Good Roads with the Minister of Labor to expand the definition of skills trade program to recognize municipal public works operator. I have two proposed delegations that I'd like council to consider today for the Good Roads Conference. One being to support and work with the municipality of West Elgin on their request to expand that definition of skilled trade and to seek funding to support training and new hires. And the second has to do with Terrace Lodge funding for the redevelopment program that we have. So to give you some background, the long-term care home capital development policy includes three funding components. One is a construction fund subsidy, and that's a per diem. And the per diem itself includes a base construction fund subsidy for all eligible projects, including small and medium-sized long-term care homes, a fixed time-limited construction fund top-up for eligible projects that meet specific criteria. Second part is a development grant, and the third is a planning grant, which is available to nonprofit homes. So the construction fund subsidy itself is a per diem payment for each day of operation for an eligible long-term care home bed. And this is paid to us as the operators on a monthly basis for a period of 25 years. So quite a span of time when we consider the funding impacts here. So the base construction fund subsidy ranges from about $20.50 to $23.80, let's say, rounding a little bit there. Our funding agreement for Elgin's Terrace Lodge home stipulates $21.78 per bed per day as part of this 25-year agreement. And announced in, say, spring of last year was an additional construction fund subsidy or a top-up in the amount of $35 additional per bed per day. So we're talking huge dollars over 35 years, over 25 years. We've learned that because we signed an updated development agreement on March 22nd and in advance of the announcement for the additional construction fund subsidy top-up funding, that we are not eligible for the extra $35 per bed per day. And this is because we don't meet the timeline criteria to be eligible. We signed the original development agreement on February 13th, 2020, but construction was subsequently delayed as a result of COVID. So we signed an updated one on March 22nd. And I think this is an excellent opportunity to seek a conversation with the Minister of Long-Term Care to discuss the fact that I think we were just a mere month shy of being eligible for this significant amount of money. And for the sake of a $36 million project, I think staff are seeking council support in having Councillor Noble attend and provide a delegation along with the warden at the Good Roads Conference. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We're also happy to share the delegation materials once we have prepared them with council so that you can, I recognize that it was a bit of a garbled overview, but we'll share that information in a proper formal report for council at an upcoming meeting.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or concerns with that? I think it's a worthwhile endeavor to pursue. I think it's going to take more than just sitting down with the minister. I think we need to build a strategy moving forward, but still, as staff have indicated, simply a matter of timing. To be precluded simply because you're out ahead of things, and it's unfortunate. So I think what we're looking for is council's approval that we can take these two items forward. Okay. And at the same time, let's put it out there. Is there anything else that you think we should be going to or trying to get a delegation with any particular minister? Julie, please.
If I may, through you, Mr. Warden, and another item that we did contemplate and have kind of extensive discussions about was transit funding. So we do know that in the near future, we will receive the results of the Transportation Master Plan, within which we hope there are some solid recommendations for transit solutions for our rural community. Recognizing that we've long wished for transit in Elgin County, but affordability is challenging. We will eventually be in a position where we'd like to ask for some seed funding or some funding to support a pilot project. But we did review it and feel that we're a bit premature because we don't have the data of the Transportation Master Plan to support us yet.
Use that one at a future conference. Or we'll take a trip down to Queens Park ourselves. Anything else from council members? Okay. So again, looking for support on those two topics. Do you have a motion for that?
Be it resolved that staff be directed to support West Elgin and their delegation with the Ministry of Labor, requesting that the definition of skilled trades be expanded, and that staff be directed to submit a request for a delegation to the Minister of Long-Term Care at the Good Roads Conference in April 2023 with respect to Elgin County's eligibility for Enhanced Construction Fund subsidy. And further, that the Warden and Councillor Noble represent Elgin County at said delegations if they are approved.
Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Hens will move and Councillor Jones will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you for that. Which brings us to section 9, the closed meeting items.
Be it resolved that we do now proceed into closed meeting session in accordance with the Municipal Act to discuss the following matters under Municipal Act, Section 239-2 for in-camera item number 1, financial services contract negotiations, Section 239-2 E, F, and K, and for in-camera item number 2, organizational update, Section 239-2 B, and for in-camera item number 3, correspondence contract negotiations, Section 239-2 K.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Noble and Councillor Sloan will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Welcome back. We are now ready to entertain the motion to rise and report.
Be it resolved that we do now rise and report.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Noble will move. And Councillor Crooked will second. All in favor? That's carried. It's a good thing, otherwise we'd be stuck there. In-camera item number 1, financial services contract negotiations.
Be it resolved that the report from the Director of Legal Services be received for information.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Noble will move. Councillor Hens will second. All in favor? That is carried. In-camera item number 2, an organizational update.
Be it resolved that the Chief Administrative Officer proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Widner will move. Councillor Noble will second. All in favor, please. That's carried. And in-camera item number 3, correspondence, contract negotiations.
Be it resolved that staff proceed as directed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Noble will move. Councillor Sloan will second. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Motion to adopt recommendations from the committee of the whole.
Be it resolved that we do now adopt recommendations of the committee of the whole.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Hens will move. Counselor Jiguer will second. All in favor? That's carried. The confirming bylaw.
Be it a first, second, and third read of bylaw number 23-11, being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of the municipal council of the corporation of the county of Elgin at the March 14th, 2023 meeting.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Noble, Counselor Hens will second. All in favor? That is carried, which brings us to the adjournment motion.
Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 10:49 a.m. to meet again on March 28th, 2023 at 9:00 a.m.
Okay, Counselor Widner moved. Counselor Noble seconded. All in favor? And that is carried. And we're adjourned. And thank you, Counselor Jones, for joining us. And for those else who are joined us virtually this morning, thank you for your attendance.